The Deathbed Confession. Josie Breaker had been looking forward to her best friend, Zoe Jordan, coming back from 6 months' work in Australia, setting up a subsidiary company. Once it was completed, Zoe flew straight back to be with her. She knew the story, of course. They had Zoomed fairly often when work allowed. But that was nothing like hearing the story face to face. And here, in the cafe at last, they were sitting together. Josie had just finished outlining emotionally her mother's revelation. "Jesus Christ alive," said her friend. "I can't believe she waited till she was on her deathbed to tell you the most important thing in your entire bloody life." "Do you think she was going to take it to the grave but had a sudden last-minute guilt spasm? I mean to say, in a hold-all, on the steps of an art gallery." She put down the coffee cup. "At 6 a.m. Jesus!" "I know. What else did she divulge?" "Well, it was weird. After she told me I was a foundling, not her blood child, she launched into the circumstances around my being abandoned. She said that the police had got nowhere with the investigation. The only clues to my origin were that the hold-all was spattered with oil paint and that I was left at an art gallery. This all happened on the morning of the opening of an exhibition of new paintings by unknown artists. She and Dad were among the celebrity invitees." She stared at Zoe. "Who would do such a thing? I was a week old. It was so premeditated." "You think it was your birth mother who left you there then? Not some pissed-off family member like a husband or a mother?" "I'd bet on it. Anyway, immediately after leaving her bedside, I contacted a family tree tracing company and dropped off a saliva sample." They were sitting in a coffee bar near Josie's home on a Sunday morning in North London in April. It was beginning to fill with singles carrying newspapers and ordering croissants. Josie and Zoe had been best friends since secondary school. Josie was black-haired and creamy white-skinned, and Zoe auburn and somewhat sallow. Light and dark, they called themselves. Josie had spent more of her life in the embrace of Zoe's warm, supportive family than in her own cold equivalent. They were good-looking 50-year-olds. Zoe fashionably attired in short skirt, tights and ankle boots. Josie in white overalls, a red T-shirt and a black and white striped bandana. They carried an air of casual confidence that comes from managing the balance of successful careers and family lives. One was a digital artist, the other a CEO of a data protection company. In parallel, each had a married daughter with a career on full throttle. Anyway, Mum wasn't in the least apologetic about not telling me earlier on in my life. She said in her usual offhand way that, on reflection, she thought it was probably better she should tell me I was adopted before she passed. "Jesus!" "Quite," Josie said, and then continued meditatively. "It was typical. She was a pretty useless parent. Dad, too. They provided everything I needed but emotion. They were consumed by the fame game. It was like they almost forgot I was there. There were times I was sure I was an orphan. I couldn't see any likeness between us, physically or temperamentally. It's true. Zoe put a hand over hers. You had a bum deal. Anyway, when I burst out crying at the revelation, it took her by surprise. You know what she said? Oh, I'm sorry, Josie. Did I do that badly? Then she turned over on her side so she couldn't see my face. The rest of our conversation was conducted with me looking at the back of her head. She died that night. Oh, dear girl. They held hands. In death, as in life. Josie paused before pulling herself together. Anyway, what happened next? She asked herself aloud. The saliva sample? Zoe suggested. Ah, yes, that. As I said, I employed a tracing company, the one behind that TV DNA program, Who Am I?, to do a search of global databases, in case my birth mother had signed up. Next, I sorted out the chaos in the family home and moved in. Once I was settled, I went through all their stuff. It took ages. They hoarded every bit of paper they'd ever scribbled on. Then, in an old green battered leather pouch, I discovered a load of newspaper cuttings about me being abandoned in the hold-all, plus invites for the exhibition opening, plus, of course, the adoption papers. Nothing else. I might as well have been born from spontaneous combustion. Going to the exhibition and then finding out later the dramatic nature of my abandonment obviously appealed to my parents' sense of the exotic. They couldn't have children, but a child would complete their public image of being perfect. What better? Josie laughed. However, given their sociopathic natures, they probably should never have been allowed to adopt. She started rummaging in her bag. I brought the pouch. She passed over the green leather zippered bag. Zoe took out the contents and read them through carefully. She looked up. So then? This next piece of the riddle was new to Zoe. She reached out and gripped Josie's hand tighter. Well, so then I got a call from the DNA company. We met yesterday afternoon in their offices. Very plush. They'd found one match with a first cousin, a man named Martin O'Leary, Irish, deceased, car accident, 53 years old. When they looked up his family tree, they were able to confirm that his mother, also deceased, had had a younger sister named Jean Driscoll. No other relatives. The trail went cold when Jean was quite young, in her early 20s. They think she could have married and or changed her name, but that was it. She wasn't on any of the DNA databases. Well, she could still be out there? Well, there's no way of knowing. They finished their coffees and went their separate Sunday ways. But that afternoon, Josie got a video call from Zoe. Hi, what's up? Have I got news for you? Zoe said, her eyes shining. What? I've always had a nose for hidden clues and connections. Very useful in data processing. You know the opening of the exhibition? The day you were discovered? On a sudden hunch, I contacted the gallery. They kindly emailed me a copy from their archives of the brochure with all the artworks in it. They were proud of it. It kicked off several significant careers. Okay. I went through the list of titles. Guess what? I have no idea. There's a particular abstract painting among them. What do you think it's called? No idea. Abandoned Baby. My God. The artist was Jeannie Mallow, aged 23. What? Not the Jeannie Mallow? The same. It was her first ever public showing. Currently aged 73, she has an exhibition at the Museum of Modern Art in New York called Lost Time. I checked out the titles of some of her work over the years. Listen to this. Zoe held up a piece of paper and read from it. The Orphan. Forced betrayal. Loss. Renunciation. Missing. Intimate secret. Where are you now? The motherless child. In the bulrushes. And what about this for a clincher? The hold all. Oh, God! She's a recluse, never gives interviews, nothing in biographies about her background and upbringing. Her life's a complete mystery, except she's been leaving encoded messages for you for 50 years. What's she got to be secret about? Only she can confirm. Zoe smiled. But it's easy to guess. She stopped and looked triumphantly at Josie. With a bit of help from the office, I tracked down her private mobile number. Ready? Still stunned, Josie got out pen and paper. Already she was working out what her opening words might be. Hello? Am I talking to Jean Driscoll? So, there we are. That was Deathbed Confession. I hope you enjoyed it. There are a number of stories which focus on the mysterious happenings that can occur when someone dies, and I've grouped them under the title End of Days. So if you go to my channel, go to Playlists, End of Days, you'll find them there. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed, please do. And if you have friends you think might like to listen to some of these stories, please pass on the link. In the meantime, you might want to read as well, and on www.jacksanger.com you will find novels, plays and short stories to download for free, or make a donation if you prefer. In the meantime, that's all for now. Go in peace. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.